Thanks a lot.
Call this meeting order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation by First Lutheran.
I'm Pastor Scott Munger from First Lutheran, and thank you for the invitation to be with you tonight. Last night, we took a group of middle school youth out to the lake for a sunset hike, and hiked one of the trails and were able to loop around to elevated area and watch the sunset. And I read Psalm 19 there for the kids, and so maybe just imagine one of our beautiful sunsets here, and I wanted to start with Psalm 19. How clearly the sky reveals God's glory, how plainly it shows what God has done. Each day announces it to the following day, each night repeats it to the next. No speech or words are used, no sound is heard. Yet their message goes out to all the world and is heard to the ends of the earth. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for the beauty of creation this harvest season, as our world is filled with the colors of fall. And we pray for all of us who are called to care for that creation. We ask for wisdom, humility, and discernment as we work to care for our community, our neighbors, and those who live and work here, and also those who are just passing through. Bless this council and all our city employees as they use their gifts for the good of all. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Roll call, please.
Sabers. Goldammer. Gosher. McCardle. Barrington. Bathke. Sharks. Smith.
Okay, we have a quorum. I need to add an executive session tonight at the end. According to SDCL 125-2, legal at the end of the meeting, no action will be taken. Start with approval of consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Does anyone wish to remove or talk about anything?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Sharks,
Second.
second by Mr. Goldhammer. We'll start with the roll call.
Gosher.
Oh, you want?
I wanna make a comment,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, so go ahead.
Good evening, Jessica Pickett. I'm the assistant to the meet director for the Dakota Riptide Swim Team.
Oh.
Thank you for letting us put our raffle on here. Raffle we're trying to raise money for is we're trying to get lane ropes for our outdoor pool. As you can, ever been out there when there's the triathlon going on or a swim meet going on, the lane ropes are kind of disintegrating and not being held together. It's plastic that's worn out. So we're doing a fundraiser to raise money for that, and that is raffling off a four-wheeler. Thankfully, that was help being purchased thanks to Iversons. But with that, I'd also invite everybody in the public to come see what a swim meet is. You have kids ages 5 to 18 plus coming to swim. It's a great lifelong skill. Our next upcoming meet that'll be held here at the Mitchell Rec Center will be December 6th through 8th. Then we're having another one, January 18th and 19th. And we were awarded the opportunity to host the state 12 and under swim meet here at the Rec Center, February 21st through 23rd. So I invite the public out to come check out our great swim team and the great swim events that we have. And we get so many wonderful comments about our facility. It's fun to have our swim meets there.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to discuss this? Okay, roll call.
Gosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke. Sharks. Smith.
Aye.
Sabers. Goldammer.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and members of city council on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken. Would anyone like to address the council?
I have something.
Okay.
Is it my turn yet?
Hold on, let me just skip to the next one. So we'll go to that, and then we'll go to mayor and city council discussion items.
Oh, well, it's just really, Elizabeth Luzak was unable to be here tonight. So just wanted to make a few announcements in behalf of Mitchell Main Street. Currently, the 25 Days of Christmas is going on. They're celebrating small business owners this season. So you can see those on Facebook. They do a live interview, and then there's a drawing the next day for some kind of a gift that's being given by those businesses. Small Business Saturday is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so shop local and whatever the rest of the slogan is. The Parade of Lights will be held on December 3rd. The theme is Christmas movies. And in addition to the Parade of Lights, Mitchell Main Street has invited the business owners on Main Street to decorate their storefronts. And so there's a lot of enthusiasm over that. Trees, decorating trees all up and down Main Street. So it'll be really festive. I hope that everyone gets a chance to see that. Kids shopping, Christmas shopping for kids is December 7th. This is the 31st year of this tradition, and I believe that is at the Masonic Temple. Has been in the past. It might be in the Corn Palace. If you have questions, this is the important part. If you have questions, call Liz and I have the number if you want to ask me for that number. So anyway, Mitchell Main Street continues to just do great things for our community, so partake in those events.
I'm wondering if, Kevin, you can give us an update so I can get back to a couple of people on the pickleball.
I can give you an update if you'd like. So we had the Pickleball Association stop in today. We called and talked to SPN and put a little pressure on them to get us a timeline. It sounds like we're going to have a timeline at the beginning of next week. And then once we have a timeline, we will set a date to do a public information meeting and invite the Pickleball Association and anyone else that would like to come. And then once we have that, we should be able to have a biddable project. Does that sound about right? And then once we do that, we'll go out for bids and then build it next year.
So will we get it to bids before the first year?
I don't foresee that happening.
But at least we'll have a timeline, hopefully next week. Anything else? So I'll add one thing here. So I want to do a State of the Union, kind of State of the City for everyone. I'm going to plan that in like February. Do like somewhere between a 15 and a 30-minute speech, depending on how much I ramble and how much information we have. So I've asked the department heads to give me all the information of all the stuff that we had in the last 6 months, and then what we have going on currently, and then what we're doing in the following 6 months or in the future. And one thing that had come up is what the targets for the city are long-term. So if you guys can just think about what your targets are long-term for the city, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 years, maybe not that far. Just so I can know, so like when I give the speech and let everyone know kind of the general direction we're heading, where we were, where we're at, where we're going, and then a general direction. So I've had a couple of people ask me, like, if you were going to put on the website what the city council's direction, what do you think would be on there? So maybe just use that as a starting point.
Where are you going to have that, Jordan? You going to do it here? You're going to do it?
I don't know. It depends how many people show up. So
before council?
no, it won't be here. No. That'll be a separate thing. So I don't want to do it here and utilize everyone's time here. It'll be a completely separate event, maybe on like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe in the Corn Palace, maybe in the community theater, maybe, it just depends how many people plan on coming. And then we'll do like a live stream and then put it on the internet for anyone unable to come, just so everyone kind of knows what's going on within our community at this level. Okay? All right, anything else? All right, Board of Adjustment. Entertain a motion for the City Council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Goldhammer. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, hearing and action on the application of Kyle Zacher, variance permit. Kyle Zacher has applied for a variance permit for a maximum height of an accessory building of 30 foot versus 22 foot to add an existing garage and creating a mezzanine in a new portion of a garage with enough room under the mezzanine for the garage doors to open. This is located at 1420 East Hanson Street, legally described as shown on the agenda. Mr. Jenigas.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this unanimously. It was published in the paper, notice sent out to the neighbors, signs posted. There were 2 letters that were returned in favor. They passed out a packet at Planning Commission, which I'm assuming, is this the same packet? So it is in your packet already with what he's handing out. It's got the reasons for their request for the variance. They've had some flooding in their basement. And so they'd like to move everything kind of from their basement to on top of the garage to the second story of the garage. Also, they'll get some of the vehicles off into the garage as well. They requested 30 feet originally. The plans in there have it at about 26 foot 8 inches, so it might vary a little bit going under the 30 feet. They knew that going in, but they wanted to make sure they had enough room just in case the heels were a little bit taller or something like that with the rafters. I can answer any questions that you have. Obviously, the applicant's here if you have any questions for them as well.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer and a second by Mr. McCardle. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reconvene in City Council. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Goldhammer, second by Mr. McCardle. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hearing and action on the following alcohol license. On the application to transfer PL 4700 package off-sale liquor license from Radhe LLC, hope I pronounced that correctly, LLC doing business as Thunderbird Lodge, 1601 South Burr, to DBM LLC, DBA Booze Boys, 1620 South Burr Street, Suite 4.
No issues?
Mr. Mayor, council, or staff has reviewed this, there's no issues. Recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Sabers. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On the application of the Corn Palace Shrine Club for special event liquor license located at the Masonic Temple for November 30th, 2024 for a wedding. Chief Knipling.
Staff has no concerns, recommends approval.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On the application for the Corn Palace Shrine Club for special event liquor license located at the Masonic Hall for December 7th, 2024 for a Christmas party. Chief Knipling.
Staff has no concerns again, recommends approval.
Move to approve.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On the application for the Corn Palace Shrine Club for special event liquor license located at the Masonic Hall for December 31st, 2024 for the New Year's Eve Bash. Chief Knipling.
Recommend approval again.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Anyone in the audience would like to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On the application of the Mitchell Meat Lodge LLC doing business as Meat Lodge, 904 East Spruce Street for a new retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine license. Video lottery is not included.
Staff has reviewed this as well, no concerns, recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer,
Second.
second by Mrs. Turks. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? All those? All right, nice. Wasn't expecting that.
Just want to say one quick thing.
Yeah.
I'm Nebby Felt, store manager of the Meat Lodge, and I just want to make it make it more convenient for everybody else. And me and my employee have reviewed the laws, so we know what to do from here on out. All right, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Love that attitude. All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve the applications for renewal of 2025 liquor and wine licenses.
Motion approved. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. One abstention. Motion carries. Action to approve application for renewal of 2025 medical cannabis licenses. Genesis Farms LLC dispensary license, The Flower Shop LLC dispensary license, and Raftis Enterprise Mitchell dispensary license. Chief Knebling?
Staff has no concerns.
Are we doing these one at a time, or are we doing them?
Either way.
They're all on one.
They're all renewals, nothing substantial as far as changes go. Really, the only thing to note is that we've only got 3 that are renewing. There's one, the Flanders Santee Tribe did not seek renewal at this time. They've still got a little bit of time before the end of the year if they want to. And then keep in mind, we also have one open license at this time that nobody has applied for. So that's where things sit.
What is the cost of the license again? I thought we were going to raise it based on needs from the dean.
The renewals are 5,000.
I just thought we were going to revisit with whether there was a need for more policing.
So as far as the police department goes, we have not noticed what I would say a dramatic increase in calls. Obviously, we are dealing with people that have medical marijuana cards, but overall, it has not been a large issue in the community.
I'd say if that's something that the council wants to consider doing, I mean, we should have some ability to change that amount, but at this point, it has not been changed.
I'm good with leaving it. If Dean says there's no more issues, increase in issues, I'm good with leaving it where it was. I just remember we said that we were going to review it, so.
We had discussed, if it would lead to an increased large amount of calls, but I can't say that there would be a substantial amount of calls as a direct result of this by itself.
Okay. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Becky.
And I've got one question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
There was a concerned citizen that came in here, I don't know, a couple, 3 meetings ago and was discussing the hours. Do we have any control over that? Was that in our ordinance or?
Yeah, we
part of our ordinance?
do have that as part of our ordinance, so certainly something we could revisit, but that was set during the initial adoption.
Okay. Can you remind me what the hours are?
It sounded like 8 o'clock was the cutoff time at night?
It was set more to be in line with pharmacies. I do recall that. I don't remember the specific hours off the top of my head. I want to say like 8 to 8.
I don't know if anybody in the audience wants to comment on that, if it's working well the way it is, or if we want to take a look at something different.
I would love to comment. Emmett Reistroffer, Director of Retail Operations for Genesis Farms. On the hours of operation specifically, my goal for our company, we have 9 locations around the state, and I'm always trying to operate them consistently and the same. And, with state law, that works. With various different ordinances, sometimes we do have to change things, and never usually a problem, but it would be my preference to stay open until 10 p.m., which is consistent with Sioux Falls and Aberdeen. Obviously, folks just work around the schedule the best they can, but we're a company that we're also open on holidays year-round. And you'd be surprised, honestly, on some of the holidays, how many folks come in. I've learned people have different schedules, so that would be all. But I'm also happy to answer questions about anything while I'm here tonight, so.
I suppose we'll revisit the ordinance. Does that sound right?
Thank you.
So is ours 8 o'clock then?
Yep, 8 o'clock, yep. I guess one thing, just for clarification, that we've had conversations with some of the other cities, I can't recall in Mitchell, is the issue of someone coming in right before 8, and we just need clarification on if we're allowed to conduct that transaction, say at 8:05, but they walked in at 7:59. That just kind of a technical note. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, recall, what was the person that was here, did they want them less, or what was, I can't remember.
No, they were wanting,
Longer.
and you might not have been at that meeting, Marty, I don't know.
They don't want to stay open longer.
They wanted it longer, open longer to kind of mirror what we're doing with liquor license. Said, yeah, so I have no problem with reviewing it. Justin, if you want to put it on the agenda at some point and bring it back, we can talk about it.
Yeah, we could put it on as a discussion item, and then, once council decides on a course of action on it, we can bring it back as an ordinance.
We'll put that on the next, we'll put it on the next one.
Then we can visit both the start date and. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion. I don't remember if I have a second.
Yeah, Marty seconded.
Oh, yeah, second by Mr. Smith.
Emmett, this could go down to 5 PM, you know that, right? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
All right, would anyone else in the audience like to speak on this? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to award bid for 7th and Main Traffic Signal Rebid Project 2022-08R. Mr. Schrader.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council. Bids were opened on November 7th, 24 in City Hall Council Chambers at 1:30. 2 bids were received. The low bid was by Muth Electric, Inc. for $290,011. The bid tabulation is attached for your reference. Project could be started in the spring, has a completion date of July 19th of 25. Project is under the engineer's estimate, and staff recommends awarding the bid to Muth Electric for a set amount. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Joe, I have a couple of questions. One, the reason that you are pushing for this to be approved is that the traffic light signals have been hit by vehicles.
Correct.
In the past, by trucks particularly. Yep. How often does that happen? When was the last time it happened?
It happened within the last month.
And then the time before?
It probably happens, I would say, 4 to 8 times a year, late, and it can be red, yes.
Yeah, well, as I talked last time, I was kind of opposed to spending so much money on a traffic light that works, It serves a purpose, it works. If it gets damaged, we fix it and go on, and we get paid for it, all the better. But to spend $300,000 up to $429,000, I think, with all total, just people would want to stop to see that. I just can't see spending that much money on a traffic light, and only one. I mean, we still have to look forward to the same thing happening on First and Main. Does it happen more often on First and Main or 7th and Main?
I would say 7th and Main is probably struck more. That'd be the northeast corner as well. It's typically right-hand turns by semis.
Well, I'm just opposed to spending that much money on something that works fine. I mean, what is this going to avoid ever having it hit again?
I mean, I can't say never.
Well, I'm asking the question.
I can't say never, no, because someone could run into the balloon museum.
I think one thing to point out, because I've received this question quite a bit, is that the question I get is, how is this going to stop traffic accidents that we've seen already, or the kind of types of accidents we've experienced? And the red dot is our current stoplight, and the green square is where they'll move to. So they'll move back, and then they'll have the arm that goes up and over, so that when you're having those trucks making those turning movements, there's more clearance for them. So at least the types of accidents we've experienced, it should make it easier for those accidents.
Correct.
To avoid them.
Correct.
How much?
Not more accidents, sorry.
How much did this go down from the first? It went down over 100,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe our last bid total was $544,000. And we had a $10,000 contingency when we were all said and done. And this one, we have an estimated contingency of $187,000. That'd be $177,000 savings from the previous bid.
Just think if we do it again.
What? Yeah. Don't push
I think the
your
first time we only had
don't
one
push
bid
your
though,
luck.
right?
First time was one bidder. It was by a concrete contractor. What we did is we moved the concrete work into our, or we will move it into our city concrete bid. That saved us, I am estimating 10,000 conservatively. We are procuring some of the equipment ourselves, which saved us a good chunk. Mobilization was a cost savings of roughly 44,000. By procuring that equipment ourselves, we saved 33,000. We're doing the traffic control ourselves. That saved us roughly 11,000. And some of this work is being done by our staff. So our staff themselves see the benefit of not having to fix these traffic signals or have to worry about a light falling over potentially, which puts that intersection, at a greater issue. Then we are not able to use the lights when they are out of commission. In the end, we just see this as a safer setup and allows that intersection to keep functioning as it is well into the future.
Joe, I'm just echoing your remarks a little bit too. I know obviously our numbers came back quite less, which is good to see. But I think we need to take a look at the fact that, it's not just about the damage from the vehicles that get turned, 5 to 10 times a year. It's these lights, if you take a look at them, and I managed to do it when I was at our last meeting, they're just tired, they're dilapidated, they're worn. And at the time you got to put money into things that need to be, re-updated, and they're there. And I know we keep on continuously on a yearly basis stick money into these lights, and it's time to put some money into them and get them to where they're supposed to be at. I know it's a big number, but this is just one set that we need to get done. And then, trust me, like we said,
Marty,
First and Main is going to come up, and then it's going to be another intersection someplace else. We can't keep on putting things off when they need to get done, otherwise they're all going to come down together at once.
Marty, when you say you looked at them and they're worn, do they not work?
The power works, yeah.
Okay, they work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you give it a shake?
Don't do that.
No.
I don't recommend a shake or a high wind.
Well, I remember when Joe called me the next day after we didn't do it last time, and he wanted to know what would convince me to do it, and I told him I wanted the 11% Menards rebate.
There it is.
He did that and then some. So I'm for this. It's time to do it and just be done with it, and then move on to First Street. I watched the guy hit the one on First Street, and they caught him at the Ford dealership with the semi. So I see what John's saying about the insurance companies and stuff. It is what it is. It's time to move them back so we can avoid the problem. Move ahead with it.
And even though we do get reimbursed by insurance companies, sometimes that process, there's quite a bit of lag. And so we still suffer the budget impact of having to make the repair and waiting to get reimbursement. I think this year we were just looking, we have $80,000 worth of traffic repairs. So we still have to find the budget to do that, and then we get reimbursed at a later date. It still creates an operational problem as well.
And last time we asked Joe to get us a better number. He came back with a significant better number, and I appreciate you doing all the work you have done, Joe. This has been on the docket for I don't even know how many years. It's been sitting here.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, is what budget was this approved? Because, Michelle, do you remember?
It's in this year's budget,
But,
2024.
okay, so it was approved at that point?
We did not have we had a design in 2023, but the project was in 2024 because we did not have enough in the budget for 23.
Okay.
The first full budget is 24.
But to Jeff, you are correct. It was in the budget at one point to do, and then it was removed.
Because it was only like 150,000, I think.
Well, because we decided to do something else, and we put it off for a year.
That's what
and
I was
then-
thinking.
And then we
did
got
have
it
in there.
in the budget the next year for '23. So it would have been '22 that we had planned to budget, but we didn't because some other things took priority.
Okay, thank you.
This ain't the first year we've talked about it. We've been talking about
Yeah.
it for 4 or 5 years now.
2024 is the first year you've had the full amount budgeted that you needed to do the project, though, because we would have had to carry over funds.
Correct.
Looks like Terry wants to tell us something.
I got a couple points. My name is Terry Johnson, Project Supervisor for City of Mitchell. Just wanted to make note that this has been a project we've been wanting to upgrade for quite a while. Every time these get hit, we're out there looking at the bases. Well, did it crack that bad to where it could still hold the pole? And we feel that when the times have been hit, the base has been stable enough to hold it. But these bases are not in the right spot for a traffic signal. These were regular streetlights that were put in, and they were not made to have a traffic signal put on that streetlight. If a streetlight was to be put on there, it should have been moved back from the beginning. They were just a streetlight pole that just had a regular streetlight on it, and then we added the traffic signal, so we're adding a lot more weight on it. The poles are in bad shape. The signals are in bad shape. We've been patching these things together every time we use old equipment to kind of keep it going with the hope that we could get this thing rebuilt. We're going to get a new controller and new equipment out there. We knew that this was a very important thing for us and for the city, so we stripped this thing down. What can we do ourselves or with people that we could manage in order to make this thing roll? And because we feel that it is a big, important one. This is the first step. The next one I'd like to do is First and Main. We got a base that's actually tilted, but could still hold the pole. But it's been hit a number of times where we need to remove that base and put a new base in that's straight, and the pole has actually been broke and it's been brazed to where it's just barely holding on. So we're hoping that with this project it'll go good and then we could continue on First and Main. But we think it's an important project and we could hope we could get this thing moving forward. Thank you.
I do have a question about the pole. Is it going to be matching the other downtown poles, or is that going to be a different kind of pole?
So right now, it is planned to be a galvanized pole. However, internally, we do feel it would be nice to have it a little more of a decorative feel. We have asked about adding the addition of color. We've asked for the color of black to be provided, which could be done at roughly a cost of $5,000 for all 4 poles. So there is the ability to do a color if we so wish.
You know, I asked the staff a lot, like, what's up with this light pole? Why you guys care so much? And you would not believe how passionate the guys in the city are for the light pole. And I'm like, tell me about it, you know what I mean? It has been hit a lot. It is very wobbly. They said, go out and shake it. And I did. I went out and shook it, and it's got a lot of movement. And the really interesting thing is, I had Joe pull the traffic counts. And if you guys had to take a guess of how many cars would go through that intersection every year, it's nearly 3 million traffic counts. So it's about 7,000 or 8,000 cars per day, 5,000 from one direction. So it does get a ton of use. So, I mean, over the last 20 years, it's seen 250,000 cars go through it. I don't know if that matters. It's not like it's use or anything. But the other thing is it's right by the Corn Palace, you know, and we have 500,000 people come here every year. And that's one of the busiest intersections on Main Street. So you have this big, beautiful, multi-million-dollar Corn Palace and then an old set of lights, so.
And a $400,000 light. They'll have to make sure when you stop at the Corn Palace, take a look at that light.
Yeah, they might now.
Well, we'll give them a reason to look at it. I'll make a motion to approve the bid.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Stuart Hansen. First off, I'd like to take this time to thank Mr. Dosher, Mr. McCardle, Mr. Goldhammer, and Mr. Bathke for voting no to approve the previous bid in April for approximately $544,000. And a special thank you to Mr. Bathke for asking if the city could do a rebid in the fall. In my opinion, that was a smart, fiscally responsible request. It saved us a lot of money. Now to the other 4 council members. Mrs. Charks, you were quick to approve the $544,000 bid back in April. Mr. Barrington, you voted yes to approve the bid dollar amount because you speculated the bid amount would only rise with the rate of inflation. Mr. Sabers and Mr. Smith, you also voted yes to approve the previous $544,000 bid. Those 4 yes votes could have cost the taxpayer a lot more money. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak on this? All right. Should I do a roll call on this one?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do a roll call.
Barrington.
Yes.
Bathke.
Yes.
Charks.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldhammer.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2024-45, Tax Increment District Number 38 Developer Agreement. Mr. Johnson.
All right, well, I'll give my normal spiel on these little developer agreements. This one specifically relates to Tax Increment District Number 38. That would be the Palace Brewing TIF. Purpose of these developer agreements is essentially to lay out a few additional terms to handle how that increment is passed on to the developers. And I think with that, we can just open it up for questions.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer. Second by Mr. Sharks. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2024-46, Tax Increment District Number 35 Developer Agreement. Mr. Johnson.
All right, so same thing on this one. This specific developer agreement would be for Tax Increment District Number 39, which is the Mad Garage LLC TIF that was approved at the last meeting. And here for any questions if there are any.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mrs. Sharks. Any further? Okay, we've got one abstention here. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2024-47, Section 5311, South Dakota Department of Transportation Grant Funds. Mrs. Pickett.
Mayor, Council, Jessica Pickett, Community Services Director. On the application that we submitted, this is the grant agreement for our annual operating funds for administrative and operating costs for Palace Transit.
Move to approve the agreement.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Goldhammer. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2024-48, an addendum to the 2023-2025 bargaining agreement between the City of Mitchell and IAFF Mitchell Firefighters Association Local 4166 for 2025 wages. Ms. Elwine.
Mayor and council, included in your packet is an addendum to the bargaining agreement that the city of Mitchell has with IAFF for 2023 through 2025. The addendum will adjust the wages for 2025 by 3% from 2024. So the 2025 wage increase will be 3%. This is a result of a tentative agreement between the city and the union during the course of negotiations in 2024. And employees are eligible for their 2% performance-based step increase. I can answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, I recommend approval of the agreement.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sabers, second by Mr. McCardle. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak about this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2024-49, an addendum to the 2023 and 2025 bargaining agreement between the City of Mitchell and Teamsters Local Union Number 120 for 2025 wages.
Mayor and council, and this agreement is the same as IAFF, but this is an agreement between the City of Mitchell and Teamsters Union. That would be for our police officers and communication officers. Again, a 3% increase to the ranges for 2025 and eligibility for a 2% performance-based step increase. And this is a tentative agreement between the City of Mitchell and the union during the course of negotiations in 2024. Recommend approval of the agreement.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Goldhammer. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak about this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2024-50, an addendum to the 2023 through 2025 bargaining agreement between the City of Mitchell and the Mitchell City Employees, AFSCME, Local 2922 for 2025 wages. Mrs. Elwine.
Mayor and council, again, same comments as the previous two agreements. This agreement is between the City of Mitchell and AFSCME employees. That is basically all of our general employees, excluding management, salaried, police, and fire. So it's everybody else, so all of our utilities, parks, everything else. Again, that's a 3% increase to the wages for 2025 and eligibility for the 2% performance-based increase. This is a tentative agreement between the City of Mitchell and AFSCME during the course of negotiations in 2024, and recommend approval of the agreement.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Starks.
Second.
Second by Mr. Goldhammer. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-75, creating tax increment District Number 40, Golden Prairie Apartments LLC. Mr. Johnson.
All right, so just a brief rundown on this one. Golden Prairie Apartments would be a development just north of the Copper Flats Apartments that were previously approved for a TIF by a council. This particular development would be 48 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartment units. They would all meet the state's affordable housing rental rates. Just like previous TIFs, this would act as a grant pass-through where increment is passed on to the developer as generated. Would also be a 20-year TIF, similar to prior TIFs. The amount being requested is $1,610,000. There would be no interest associated with the TIF, and it would expire at the end of that 20 years or whenever that increment is paid off, whichever should occur earlier. The TIF would need to be classified by the state as affordable housing, or it would terminate. The developer would also waive their right to the discretionary formula. With it being a grant pass-through, it would not count against the city's constitutional debt. The developer will also be required to certify the cost to the city in relation to the project. The city does reserve a right to charge an administrative fee. The reporting of those annual costs would be on a form provided by the city. If you look at the project cost breakdown for the project, they do show TIF eligible expenses just under 1.7 million, which is slightly above what the amount they're requesting. And if you check their estimate for the TIF increment, you'll see it generates that $1,611,000, slightly above what they're requesting. Staff did conduct a review of the project plan, did determine that it meets all of the city's TIF handbook requirements, does appear to meet all the statutory requirements. And I believe with that, we can probably open it up to questions. I believe there are representatives here if council has questions.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Skylar Mickelson, Morgan Thieler, Council for the Developers. I just wanted to introduce myself and inform you guys that I brought two representatives of Lloyd Company with me tonight, Kellen Erpenbach and Luke Wheatgroff, if I pronounce that right, who are also available for any questions you guys would have about the plan.
Hi, I'm Kellen Erpenbach. Just wanted to say hi to everybody. Former Dakota Wesleyan graduate, so it's good to be here. We've got 48 total units, about $7 million in total project costs. We're really excited for the proposed development. We think with the new soybean plant, and already some other housing shortages here that we could really help the community with the workforce housing that it needs. I think it'll be a great kind of round out to the development there with South Point and Copper Flats. This project aims to kind of hit the middle of where those two are from a rent perspective, and we're really excited about what the project might bring. So we're happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
The only other thing I was going to point out too is because this is an affordable housing TIF, we do ask them to certify their rents to us annually through a report too, so just so council knows.
So this will be income-based, then they'll have to apply to come in to this apartment complex?
So the rents will be set at 80% AMI or lower. So
State dollar amount that you have to set it at in order to qualify for the affordable housing classification. We have the same thing for the houses that are rented up on Fiala Road.
Skylar Mickelson, Morgan Dealer. This is not an income-based project. The only income limits are just that of the affordable housing criteria, which is 80% of the area median income. So tenants, it's not tied to their income.
It's just to hit that affordable classification. The reason why I bring that up is then it's a statewide, it's not a local TIF if it meets that affordable classification.
I'll move to approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. Hurdle, second by Mr. Sabers. Any further discussion? Anyone else in the audience like to speak on this?
Hello, Mayor, City Council, Steve Simpson here yet again on another TIF. I'm not going to go through the arguments I made on prior TIFs, but I am a little bit concerned about who is Golden Prairie Apartments LLC. Based on the research I've done, they filed their incorporation on September 5th, 2024, so it's relatively new. The agent is Daniel Doyle out of Sioux Falls, and I found that in 2021, he became general counsel for Lloyd Companies out of Sioux Falls, a major real estate development. And so if this is all true, and if I'm wrong, my friends correct me. If this is all true, then this $1.6 million benefit is going to a real estate developer in Sioux Falls, and then us taxpayers here locally will be shorted $90,000 a year for 20 years to finance that $1.6 million, and that's my concern tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone know what the current tax rate of that piece of property is? Because I don't think we'll be shorted anything if nothing's built there.
Just be the land value only.
Okay, so to say that we would be shorted would be misinformation, because if the TIF doesn't go through and the project doesn't go through, it's only taxable at the land value, not the housing that I think Mitchell needs, and then eventually joins our tax rolls in 20 years.
The current value is $174,654.
Councilman Goldhammer took my talking point, so.
Such a lawyer.
And I'll just add to that, if you check the increment table, after the improvements, they're projecting that valuation of the property to be about almost 5.3 million.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-76, plot of Lot 5, Block 6 of Woodland Heights, First Edition. Mr. Jenigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this unanimously. It's down in Ethan Lumber's development. It fits with their master plan. There's only about 4 more lots out in this area to be platted. It meets the requirements for the PUD for this area as well. I can answer any questions that you have.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer. Second. Second by Mrs. Sharks. Any further discussion? We'll have one abstention. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-77 fees and charges.
Before council gets into discussion on these, I just want to make sure I point out, council has discussed in the past the special event permit fees. As you can see, the proposal just lowers the cost of each of those fees, hoping that then you would no longer waive fees because it would be affordable for everybody. But I know council has talked about other alternatives that you may want to do as well. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that those are included. We gave you a fee cost comparison that I put together too that just showed how much the permit fee should have been, how much was actually paid, what the 2025 fee would be if they paid the 2025 fees. If you take the city events out, and then if you take, because council has talked about maybe not charging subsidies, so if you took those out as well. So right now we had 12, oh my goodness, that's really small, hold on. We had $12,350 worth of fees. However, we only actually received $39.50. If you went to the new fee structure, it'd be $6,450. If you take out the city events, it'd be $5,700. And then if council decided not to charge for subsidies, I'm not saying you should do that, but that was brought up at one point, it'd be $37.50. But right now, the proposal is, as shown, it would not include waiving. You would not waive any fees for any future applications. Everybody would just pay the fee. There's other fees as well that you might want to ask individual department heads about. I just wanted to make sure that you had a chance to review those.
I think it's a good idea. I think it saves a lot of headaches because we get people coming in every meeting wanting to waive their fees, and we no sense in having a fee if we're going to waive them all the time. But I think this makes a lot more sense. So.
And we talked to the departments to ask what their minimum, like what the actual true cost of manpower and hourly and all that stuff is, so we wouldn't have to overcharge. And it's just, this is the minimum cost, is what it costs to drag out street cones or.
Right, our biggest focus is sort of cover what we got put into it.
Yep, exactly.
So,
Yep.
And most of the events that are hosted here, Kevin, you still sit on the Sports and
Yeah.
Events Authority. So if they have, they can go and ask the committee if they would help cover some of the costs. And we as a city have got these costs in place, so I'm glad we're at least covering them. But that option is always open.
Yeah, there's always.
And it won't deter anyone that looks to, like, when you go on the internet and you go to make an application for a special event, you see a bunch of fees and all of a sudden you choose 4 of them and it's over $1,000. That may deter some people. I don't know, not everyone, but no, it makes it a little more obtainable for everyone.
I'm going to go down to the landfill fees. Joe, we approved the getting rid of the tires or whatever, and I thought of it afterwards, then I got a call about it afterwards. Are we covering our costs?
Yes. This last year, our bulk tire removal rate was, I think it was $230 or $235, so we're upping it to $250. And then we
Good.
kind of looked at all of our tire rates and we upped those all a little bit to make sure we're getting what we need. Some other changes we are making, it's just in our excavation permits. We're updating that so we can move it to a right-of-way permit versus a excavation permit, and allows us to use our yearly city bids versus a set amount that we have to update every year.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Barrington. Any further discussion?
Just a point of clarification for me, with the liquor licenses, do we have any, we don't have any available right now, correct?
There is one package liquor license that they have not submitted the renewal for yet, and those are limited. So they are expecting to submit it though, but that is why that dollar figure is on there, in case it does become available.
We wanted to have a procedure established in the event that they don't renew, instead of trying to scramble at the last minute to determine how to do it.
And I'll just add the $2 figures that you see there, the no less than $300 and the $500 for the renewal. Those both come directly out of the statute. So as far as setting the actual cost of the new license, there's not an upper limit on that. And we figured not having one of these up on the market for over 40 years that we could tell, a sealed bid might be the easiest way to determine what that market value would be if one becomes available. And that's, whether this applicant doesn't proceed or eventually if our population grows enough for us to be able to have another license available.
It also lets you determine who's going to be the top bidder is the person who gets a license in case there's more than one person that wants that. We won't have to go through a drawing straws. It's just the highest bidder gets the license.
So Justin, what does our population need to get to make another one available?
I think it has to, I don't know the exact number that we're at right now, but you get another license for every 1,500 that you jump. I don't know where we're sitting in that margin right now.
We're over on everything except for the package. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Okay.
I spoke to Jessica just right before the meeting. I don't know if we want to update the language to include, because the updated fares for Palace City Transit would be weekend and weekday, same-day fares, right? Just weekend. Okay. So can you remind me what the weekday fare is?
Mayor, Council, Jessica Pickett, Community Services Director. Currently, our same-day rides are $10 per one-way trip, but for the weekends, because they're at a higher fare, the $3 for your pre-scheduled rides, we wanted to update the same days also to reflect that increase of fares to be $15 per one-way trip on Saturdays and Sundays.
And does $1 per mile cover your gas going out of town?
So the reason we went with that is with the new software that we have, to go out of town, they can't calculate from the city borders. So it starts calculating from the moment you leave your pickup location. So that $1 a mile also includes your in-town miles.
What was the previous fee?
It was $2 a mile, but it started at city limits.
And what are your hours? How late do you guys run the vehicles?
Monday through Friday, we start at 5:30 a.m. and go to 8 p.m. Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Sundays, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And do you have a lot of requests for later hours on the weekends?
Not specifically, yeah. It kind of dies down at that time. There are some employee requests, employer requests that are working shift work, and we seem to get more of that during the weekday than we do during the weekends, those that are working shift work.
Sorry about that. You don't have any plans to increase hours at this point?
We would love to if we could find the staff and the funding.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
We sometimes struggle to be able to get enough staff to cover the hours that we're currently open. And when we expanded those services, we had a projected revenue that we haven't hit. So our expenses are more than what we've projected the revenue would grow, so.
Correct.
So will these increases help?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
is it going to be enough?
No.
Oh, it's
Nothing's ever, no, I mean, in order to break even, we're going to have to run the same as what private enterprise would run. And unfortunately, for the population that we serve, they can't afford those type of prices.
Yeah, so I just only point that out because when you ask for expanding services, you just have to keep in mind that just increases the general fund contribution to have that service there. This doesn't cover its cost of operations, and when we expanded services the last time, we projected a revenue that we haven't hit.
Yeah, and it's the reason I ask is because it's probably not a service that really any of us use. And so there are just questions that I don't know. I don't know if you have a request for a lot of after-hour weekend kinds of times and if it would be beneficial. So
Our biggest
obviously-
requests are for employment.
Huh?
Our biggest requests are for employment, especially shift workers. And we do transport to a lot of employees in town, employers in town.
And then you get grants that kind of offset your shortfalls?
That was the grant you just approved for the administrative and operating funds, and that's the 50/50 and 80/20.
Yeah.
So it does cover some of it, but even with the grants and the service, the fees that we charge for the service, we still require general fund money to operate.
Correct.
So it helps. Without the grants, I don't know how anyone could afford to ride or.
No, you'd have to operate like private enterprise.
Anyone else in the audience? All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second reading on ordinance O 2024-11, 2025 annual appropriation ordinance.
I did walk through the budget report last time. There's been no changes made to the budget from the first reading, but I will answer any questions that you have, or if you'd like me to go through the PowerPoint again, I can do that. Like I said, I did spend quite a bit of time going through it at the last meeting, so I don't want to duplicate it if you don't want to hear me talk about it again. Anyone who's watching online, I would just say, if you go to the first page, it shows just some real basic bullet point facts about the budget as a whole. Then you can also go in and dive into it a little bit more deeply if you want to look more into the narrative or what our capital projects are for 2025. If you're interested, this is very small, but if I blow it up, if you're interested in looking at every individual capital line, this will show you, it will also show you any outside sources of revenue that are coming to pay for those capital improvements. And then I did include my budget presentation that I gave to council at the last meeting. The full PowerPoint is in here for anybody who would like to go back as well. And I can answer any questions or discussion items that council might have. Again, there's no changes from the first reading.
I think everybody did a good job on that, and I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Mr. McCardle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barrington. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak about this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to adopt ordinance O 2024-11.
Move to adopt.
We got a motion and a second, and then request public comment. Is anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Okay, roll call.
Charts. Aye. Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldhammer.
Aye.
Dosher.
Aye.
McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Motion carries. First reading on ordinance O 2024-12, an ordinance granting a franchise to Northwestern Energy. Mr. Johnson.
All right, so this is an ordinance with Northwestern Energy regarding their gas franchise with the city of Mitchell. That existing gas franchise is set to expire at the end of this year. The ordinance that you see in front of you would be approving that. Basically, same ordinance with a few language updates, just modernizing the language, clarifying just a couple small points within there for a period of 1 year. Really, the purpose for that short 1-year extension is so that we've got time to do a larger review of the franchise and see if there's any larger changes that we want to consider making before we commit to a longer term. We've discussed possibly a 10-year term with, auto renewal language, something along those lines. But really, the ordinance that you see in front of you tonight is very similar to the one that's currently in place with just those few updates on the language and a couple of those provisions being clarified. So with that, I think we can open it up to questions.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sabers, second by Mr. Goldhammer. Any further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, motion into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Goldhammer. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There will be no action after executive session.